Five eyes versus one eye. Is India under pressure from I5 countries? The core Anglosphere, which is bounded by shared cultural heritage? Certainly, yes. But why when India has done no wrong? Reason? The Anglosphere, that is the US, UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, is a powerful force in the world. Built by the forces of imperialism and colonialism, it is home to some of the world's largest and most developed economies. The Anglosphere countries also have strong militaries and dominate the global affairs. So, while India gained independence from the British Crown in 1947, the world awaited independence from the British Crown. The British Crown is also the head of state of 15 other countries, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and many Caribbean and Pacific island nations. So, bound by shared cultural heritage, the Five Eyes, comprising the core of the Anglosphere, continue to dominate the world order in the name of liberty, freedom, rule of law, and fraternity. Addressing the 78th session of the UNGA, S. Jaishankar spoke in strong terms of a new, more equitable and democratic world order emerging, one that is more reflective of diverse interest. He linked these diverse interests to India's G20 presidency, saying that the days when a few nations set the agenda were over. While the rules-based order and UN Charter were invoked in deliberations, it is still a handful of nations that shape the agenda and seek to set the norms. This display of naked self-appropriation was at full display during COVID with the global South faced vaccine apartheid. And it is this very attitude that is showing now with the climate action talks at the UN. It is with this mindset that Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made explosive allegations that the government of India was involved in assassinating a Khalistani terrorist. And within no time, the naked display of Anglosphere was on full display. The Five Eyes countries, that is US, UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, raised the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar and more importantly, with any proof. With a full brazenness, Department of State spokesperson Matthew Miller said the US has publicly and privately urged India to cooperate in the Canadian investigation. Well, India conveyed in the strongest terms that Canada has never cooperated with India when it comes to its apprehensions about those with criminal cases in India finding safe haven in Canada. So, it is a world of double standards. One to that of Royal Crown Dominion countries and second to the rest of the world. And in this process, the Anglosphere have weaponized freedom of speech, liberty and the rule of law to their self-serving interest. So the British monarchy does not rule the world in the traditional sense, but is the head of state of 15 countries, known as the Commonwealth realms. The British monarch also serves as the head of the Commonwealth, a voluntary association of 54 independent countries. So the question arises as to why India is still part of the Commonwealth of 54 countries. Dear viewers, I am Lipakshi Khurana from StudyIQ IAS and you are about to embark on a journey of learning like no other. So sit back, grab a pen and paper and get ready to be inspired. So how did India become a member of the Commonwealth? Well, on 16th May 1949, Jawaharlal Nehru moved a motion in the Constituent Assembly. He urged the members to ratify the Indian government's decision to maintain its association with the Commonwealth of Nations. Many members of the Assembly were beyond astonished and saw this as a question mark on India's newly found sovereignty. Nehru introduced the Objectives Resolution, declaring with great zeal that India would be a sovereign republic. This was effectively a rejection of dominion status in favor of complete independence and also implied the severing of India's ties with the Commonwealth. So, most expected that India would discontinue its Commonwealth membership, and now Nehru was introducing a motion to cage India in the Commonwealth of Nations, which many saw as nothing but colonial baggage. Yet, behind the scenes, Nehru's perspective towards the Commonwealth was slowly changing. he began to believe that Commonwealth membership would bring political and economic benefits to India. Specifically, it would ensure close ties with England, still India's largest trading partner. In 1949, Nehru participated in the Commonwealth Prime Ministers' Conference. During the conference, he informed fellow Prime Ministers that India intended to maintain its membership in the Commonwealth despite declaring itself a republic. The conference, after much deliberation, accepted this arrangement. Nehru now wanted the Assembly to ratify India's decision to remain in the Commonwealth. In his speech while moving the motion for ratification, Nehru expected criticism. Many members voiced their opinions against the decision of a sovereign republic which had fought so hard to become independent to accept British overlordship upon India. Nehru endeavoured to persuade these members by asserting that India's Commonwealth membership would not compromise the nation's independence. He elaborated on the advantages and reasons why this continued association would be beneficial for India. Many Assembly members, however, were not convinced. The motion was still passed and India became a member of the British Commonwealth of Nations. So what are the arguments in favour of leaving the Commonwealth in the current context? The argument for India leaving the Commonwealth represents a colonial baggage that must be shunned, as it is a remnant of the country's subjugation to the British Crown. India should therefore distance itself from the Commonwealth and forge its own path without any colonial baggage. Those in favour of leaving the Commonwealth contend that India's continued membership implicitly endorses the actions of the Anglosphere. Furthermore, they argue that it conveys a message of India's willingness to tolerate actions that run counter to its national interest and missions. There are also concerns that the Canadian and British government's failure to act against anti-India forces operating on its soil could have wider implications for India's security and stability. By allowing these forces to operate with impunity, it is seen as indirectly supporting efforts to destabilize India and undermine its sovereignty. Moreover, India's ongoing participation in the Commonwealth offers limited practical benefits, and departing from the organization would result in minimal economic and political consequences. The Commonwealth predominantly holds a symbolic significance, and India's exit would not inherently disrupt its relationships with other member nations or its global standing. It's viewed that India's departure from the Commonwealth would have minimal bearing on its international position or interactions with fellow member countries. Overall, the argument for India leaving the Commonwealth is based on a combination of symbolic, practical, and security concerns. While there are potential drawbacks to such a move, some in India believe that the benefits of taking a firm stand against violence and anti-India forces outweigh the potential cost. Despite certain concerns about the diplomatic and political ramifications, the calls for India to consider leaving the Commonwealth are growing louder by the day. It remains to be seen whether the Indian government will take decisive action in response to the perceived failure of the Anglosphere to call out Canada to address the violence directed against India. So how is Canada mobilizing the Anglosphere? Trudeau is almost a point of no return. He is now obliged to prove his credible allegations and expose the potential link with agents of India. His own political credibility requires this. Well, Trudeau has counted on support from his Five Eyes partners to generate pressure on India. After the US stated that it was talking to India about the case and there was no question of rebuffing Canada as speculated, the US waded into the issue in language demeaning towards India. Has India sought any special exemption from the US? Is India subject to US law? As regards principles, some may retort by reminding the US of violating its own principles repeatedly by killing Osama bin Laden, Qasem Soleimani, Ayman al-Zawahiri, al-Baghdadi, Mullahs Fazlullah and Mansour, etc. on foreign soil. So why does the US want to enter into the debate? Well, friends, one can understand his compulsion to support Canada, which is its dutiful ally. and also strike a posture before the media, but why be so tactless? The Anglosphere is now manipulating the media to espouse Canada's claim of an Indian hand in the murder of Niger. Instead of offering evidence, the story now is that there is human, technical and signal intelligence available, including that obtained from a Five Eyes member, which implicates India. Now, since intelligence information and the means to obtain it are not made public to protect sources and capability, this rests a grey area in which assertions can be made without the necessity to provide the proof. So, in conclusion, we can say that respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercised in cherry-picking. The Commonwealth is all about symbols, and there can be no greater symbolic case for us departing the Commonwealth. Canada allows Khalistanis to attack Indian missions on their soil, but wants India to provide additional security around its missions in India. They say the Commonwealth is about symbols. Well, the symbols died the moment such allegations were leveled against India. And it's not for sentimentalism. This isn't just about the national honor. India faces repercussions for its G20 success and leadership in the global south. G7's frustration over Russia's non-condemnation stems from India's efforts to foster compromise language. Additionally, Trudeau's discontent for being overlooked at the G20 summit adds to the situation. Well, these factors contribute to the coordinated criticism that India receives regarding a known terrorist sheltered by Canada. This presents an opportunity for India to stand resolute and clearly communicate to the Anglosphere that it will not endure any form of intimidation moving forward. We hope you found this episode as captivating as we did in creating it for you. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. And don't forget to like, subscribe and follow. See you soon.